The Chiefs lost a 3-point heartbreaker to the Eagles, 17-20, and the fan base is mad, and understandably so. This wasn't a shootout. It was a defensive slugfest, and the scoreboard shows how thin the margin for error is when you play a team as well-built as Philadelphia. If you're watching this as a Chiefs fan, I get it. You feel frustrated. You expected more, and the product didn't deliver. Let's set the scene in plain terms. The Eagles had limited offensive output relative to expectations. Patrick Mahomes didn't have his usual downfield juice, and special teams gave up points in moments that cost the game. But the defense? Surprisingly solid. They held Jalen Hurts to just 101 passing yards and kept Saquon Barkley to 88 rushing yards. The problem wasn't that the defense folded. It's that a handful of offensive miscues and special teams errors added up. From the tape, the key plays stand out. A poorly defended 113-yard run from Barkley that turned into a walk-in. Touchdown, a tipped pass to Travis Kelce that was returned for a touchdown, and a few missed opportunities Mahomes himself acknowledged. Those single plays flipped the script. Right here, I want to ask you something real quick. In one word, how did that loss make you feel? Put it in the comments. I'll read them. And if you like concise, no-nonsense breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers to keep the channel growing and cover every Chiefs moment the way fans deserve. Now, before we jump deeper, one thing to remember: early season slumps can be corrected. The sample size is small and there are fixable things in front of us. Still, the margin for error is paper thin when your schedule stays brutal. Let's dig into the defense first, because the headline here might surprise you. Okay, let's give the defense its proper credit. The Chiefs' secondary and unit-wide tackling did a lot of things right, outside of a few costly moments. The team sold out to stop the run, and for the most part, they did. When you hold Hurts to 101 yards and limit the opponent on third downs, those are the sort of fundamentals that win games. But numbers show an issue. The Chiefs weren't getting consistent pressure when rushing just 4. Carl L. led the team in pressures but only had a modest win percentage, and he was the only lineman with more than one pressure all game. That's a problem. The coordinator blitzed more than he ever has, 16 of 25. Dropbacks were blitzed, a 64% blitz rate. Why? Because the pass rush was failing to generate pressure with minimal fronts. You can blitz to cover for a weak pass rush, but you can't blitz every single time against elite offensive lines and expect that to be sustainable. The injuries make it worse. Mike Dana and Christian Fulton both left the game early, one with a quad, the other an ankle issue. Losing depth matters, especially when this defensive line already had trouble consistently, winning with 4 rushers. That explains why the blitz rate spiked. Not necessarily a schematic failure, but a personnel gap showing up. Still, there are visible positives. Rookie playmakers stepped up. Noel Williams with that textbook pass breakup, Omar Norman-Lott getting his first sack. These are encouraging signs for depth and future rotation. And overall, the defense played with energy and got stops at the right time. My read is this: the defense is mostly coachable and fixable with tweaks, and maybe a complementary piece. So what should the front office consider? If they want to stop leaning on blitzes, adding a rotational pass rusher who can consistently win on one-on-ones would be the top priority. Alternatively, more interior disruption or a quicker edge rusher could reduce the need to overload with linebackers and safeties in coverage. If you had to pick one move before the trade deadline, what would it be? Drop it in the comments. We'll tally it up. And quick heads up, if you appreciate clean breakdowns of what's actually happening on the field, not hot takes, like the video so more of this content gets pushed out. That helps the channel hit that 5,000 subscriber mark so we can keep delivering. Right now, the bigger panic button sits over the offense and special teams. The offense is showing clear cracks without Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and the running game looks stale. Mahomes is doing more of the rushing work himself, averaging about 60 yards per game. On the ground, which is not a sustainable model. He's the engine, but you need gas in the tank elsewhere. The tape shows a lack of explosiveness in the running backs and limited separation from receivers. Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco are doing what they can, but the offense lacks that home run threat that forces defenses to respect deeper routes and opens up the intermediate game. PFF grades for run blocking aren't great either. The offensive line is rated near the bottom in a few metrics, which compounds the issue. Mahomes had multiple misses in this game. A clear overthrow to Noah Gray and a badly overthrown, wide-open Taquan Thornton that would have been a sure touchdown. Those are the kinds of throws you expect him to make. Couple that with a tipped Kelsey pass in the red zone that turned into a pick-six return, and you've got game-changing moments that are on execution, not luck. Special teams hurt too. Harrison Butker missed an extra point and a long field goal, mistakes that, in a one-score loss, sting even more. If you add play-calling questions, like that fourth down decision deep in their own territory leading to a turnover on downs, you start to see a collection of coachable errors. So what are the solutions? Short term, be more aggressive downfield when the defense shows a tendency to drop into soft coverage. Mahomes proved he can still make big plays when he lets it fly. Consider a trade-up or pickup to add a playmaker, in the running back room or a receiver, who can create after the catch. Long-term, an offensive line upgrade and getting Rice-Worthy back would change the equation significantly. Quick engagement. What single roster move would you make right now to fix the offense? Comment below, and while you're there, hit subscribe if you haven't yet. We're tracking every rumor and move so you don't have to. All right, time to map priorities and close this out. First, keep perspective. Starting 0-2 in the Mahomes era is unfamiliar. It hasn't happened since 2014, but it's not fatal. Teams have come back from rough starts. That said, with a brutal early schedule coming up, each game becomes higher stakes now. Short-term priorities. Fix special teams consistency. Butker needs to be reliable. Those misses directly affected the final score. Add a pass-rushing complement or interior disruptor so the defense doesn't have to blitz at unsustainable rates. Add a playmaker to the offense, RB or WR, to restore explosiveness while Rice and Worthy recover. Coaching polish. Tighten situational play calling, especially in the red zone and on fourth down decisions deep in your own territory. Medium term, stay patient with young pieces earning snaps. Josh Simmons as a pass-blocking bright spot is real. Protect the blind side of Mahomes for years. Young defenders like Null Williams and Norman Lott deserve continued evaluation. They could be rotational answers if they keep growing. On leadership and accountability, veterans have to set the tone. Chris Jones's post-game remarks were tone-deaf given the loss. Leaders should own the result and demonstrate humility. That attitude matters when a team needs to buy in. Final rallying point. This is still the Chiefs we're talking about. There are correctable issues here. Execution, special teams, and a few roster upgrades. The front office should act if they can find the right fits, and the coaches must tighten up in-game decision-making. You, as the fan, can help by staying engaged. Share thoughtful takes, hold coaches and leaders to account, but don't fall into toxic negativity. Constructive pressure is what the team needs. Before I go, if you want this entire script compiled into one single block doc, voiceover ready, no chapter breaks, for production, tell me and I'll put it into a downloadable doc for you. Or if you want a tightened, production-ready version with timing marks and camera cues, I can produce that instead. Which would you prefer? A combined single block doc or a polished production doc? And one last ask. If you aren't subscribed yet, hit subscribe and help us get to 5,000 so we can keep covering every Chiefs moment with analysis you actually care about. Drop your top 3 priorities for the Chiefs in the comments. I'll read them all. Let's go.